Hello, everyone, and welcome to Mind Over Media. This is our third episode in which we still don't know what we're doing, but as you can see, we're in a new location, super secret, top secret location. Um, so we are coming to you live today, not live, pre-recorded, to talk about some things that's been on our minds. We don't have any like celebrations, although Mario Day passed.
Yeah, we missed it.
Apparently, our children told us that. So.
Yeah.
Mario Day passed, so yeah, we got a few days we got to get in our calendar. Like, I didn't even think about Harry Potter Day. Anyway,
Yeah, I don't even know what day that is.
so our first episode was Alien Day to celebrate Alien Day. Our second episode, she's wearing one of her shirts.
Yeah.
Should go back to the previous episode and watch that one. And then our second episode was Star Wars Day, and then this episode is just Randomness Day. So.
Yeah.
We're talking about today. We're going to be talking about performative behaviors. It's kind of a political day. To
a
be
little
honest, a little bit. We are going to be talking about Pride Month. We're going to be talking about AI. We're going to be talking about other stuff that comes up as we talk about them.
Yeah.
Incels. That's one thing we're going to be talking about.
Yeah. Possibly. We'll get to it.
If we get to it.
Yeah.
Incels is a touchy topic, and our dog is being extra whiny.
Sorry.
So you will get to hear her, as will everyone else on the block. Anyway, so let's get started. Let's dive in. This is Mav. I am Tabby, and we are, I guess, Mind Over Media. The doctors are in.
Yeah.
So we are forensic psychologists. I'm a marriage and family therapist.
I am a doctor of behavioral health and a doctor of psychology, public policy, and law.
And we're going to adjust this. And we are just overall generally pretty nerdy, geeky, autistic.
Very autistic.
In terms of our like interests and things like that. So, and eye contact. We don't do eye contact very well. Although I really like to look at you. So. And so with that, let's go ahead and get started. So, the TV show You came out.
It has
finished.
come to an end, to a conclusion.
And we're not going to talk about the TV show You, sort of.
No.
I mean, we're going to be talking about a phenomenon as it relates to the TV show You.
Yeah.
And but first, before that, we're talking about performative behaviors. So let's dive into that one.
Okay, so we're not doing You.
We're going to do You, but first we're going to do performative behavior.
Okay, performative behavior.
All right, so we have been not under a rock. So we've been on social media following all the weird stuff that's going on. And we thought that we would kind of talk about it a little bit. One of the biggest phenomenons is psychologists, sociologists, neurologists, behaviorists. No one can understand our current societal trends, especially as it relates to, say, people who are worshiping a pedophile and a rapist and all sorts of like 37 counts of
Whole
felony.
Thug, just a felon.
Yeah. So so the professionals cannot figure it out. And so there's no single phenomenon. We have some people in the cult industry, which is the industry I'm part of, that are fairly certain that it's the phenomenon itself is sort of a cult-related phenomenon, which is sort of in the world of sociology, kind of bridged a little bit of psychology, some of anthropology.
Let's make this abundantly clear too. The felon, the thug, is not Robin Hood. It's not robbing from the rich and giving to the poor. That's why the poor or people are idolizing this individual. That's not what's happening. It's just a common criminal that people are idolizing.
So we are talking about it a lot, trying to solve the world's biggest problems, which we can't, but we're trying to. And so we come up with a really interesting analogy together. We'll kind of sort it out here. Um, but one thing that we notice is that there are different types of people who are following this felon, but not all for the same reasons, of course, because you can't get 65, 72 million, whatever it was, million, people to follow a single person for a single reason. So, but we've noticed that there's people who are following this person and also acting incredibly obnoxious at best, obnoxious at best.
Right.
Um, some of their behaviors border and or are simply criminal. So some of their behaviors are obnoxious, but some people are just going into simple criminal end. Now, these people who are criminal,
Doing criminal behavior are engaging in wanting to see what it felt like in the, I guess, Nazi Germany, telling immigrants, no, let me see your papers, or they're pulling immigrants over and breaking out their windows and telling them to get out of the car. They're under citizen's arrest. All sorts of stupid, insanely stupid, hard to make logic of behaviors because they know they have no right to do what they're doing. Believe me when I tell you, they absolutely know that they can't do it. They are not law enforcement. They are not FBI agents. These are just your common, everyday individual who's deciding they're going to do obnoxious behaviors.
Now, so before we get to that, I wanted to categorize some of these people. So there's people who we were talking about this earlier, like if you were to like put all people into various rooms. There's people who know, who are doing obnoxious behaviors, and they know that they're doing obnoxious behaviors. Again, we're using the term obnoxious to define from genuinely annoying all the way to criminal behaviors.
Right.
So obnoxious is the term we're using for that right now. If there's something that's outright criminal, we'll just say it is outright criminal or allegedly criminal. But anyway, so there's the people who know that they're being obnoxious, and they have various reasons to do so. Some people know they're being obnoxious and are intentionally being obnoxious in order to cause harm. Some people are being obnoxious and they're not really aware that it's obnoxious. They maybe have maybe their obnoxiousness comes with a sense of virtue signaling or virtuousness. Either way, they feel like they're doing the right thing. Then there are the group of people who do not realize at all that they're being obnoxious at all. And then there are the people that we're kind of pointing out and talking about in today's episode, which are the people who are being obnoxious as a way to get attention. So what we're calling performative.
Yeah.
And these people we feel like are perhaps the most dangerous to our society. The people that are being obnoxious and / criminal, allegedly criminal, that know what they're doing and they're doing it with criminal intent, those people are also bad to our society. But usually those people often get caught and have punishment. The performative people, on the other hand, frequently on these like social media postings, they don't really get caught too much. They get made fun of a lot, but essentially they're just getting a lot of attention. One example is the woman who called a child racial disparities and then ended up raising money
$700,000
for because she lost her job as a result of her calling this child this name, and as like time has gone on, it's becoming more and more apparent that there is sort of malingering going on. So malingering is defined as like lying or being deceitful in exchange for like in order to get some sort of monetary gain or some sort of gain in general. So usually you use this term in court psychologically, that people are like in court, like they're lying about something specific so that they can either get a lighter sentence or so that they can get a what is that called, like an award or some sort of a monetary gain.
Yeah. So this individual who said that this autistic 5-year-old was stealing her child's toys on a playground, at first was pretty brazen in what she was saying about the child. I have a right to say this. I don't have to hide my language, and that's respectable. You're telling people who you are and what you're doing. But over time, it became more performative. I don't know why people are so upset. I'm just trying to protect my family. And then the lies started spewing out. You're not protecting your family from a 5-year-old. They don't have a car. They can't get to you. If they stole your child's squeaky toy, it's a squeaky toy. You're not in danger. You're not in danger. And so all of this performative, oh, I need to be safe. I'm going to lose all this stuff because this bad thing's happening. No, you did a bad thing. And so you did a bad thing. There's a consequence to the bad thing. Pretending like there's not a consequence is not a flex. It's stupid. And I don't know why right now we're at a place where pretending that you're stupid, that you don't know what you're doing, is considered like the cool thing to do. So this lady went from telling the truth, I just want to say it, I don't like the kid, he's acting like that, just being very outspoken, putting her views out there, it's First Amendment, she's saying that she's a racist, that's okay, to I don't know what's happening. Oh my gosh, what's happening to me? And that's despicable.
Yeah, there's a general, I guess, excuse that a lot of people are using and have used that they don't know or understand that there's going to be social and or political and or psychological and or whatever consequences, monetary consequences to their behaviors and actions. It's one thing to like put that stake in the ground to say like I am a racist, hear me roar, It's another to pretend like there are no consequences to that behavior,
Right.
And so this performative action is when people are like, oh my gosh, there's consequences to what I did. I just didn't know that would be the results. I could just say anything that I wanted to say, and we want to call that behavior out for what it is, which is lies. And we want to kind of encourage people to understand that this behavior is kind of rooting in the need for attention and maybe money and maybe mostly attention and money, I suppose.
Like 15 minutes of internet fame is what it is.
And no matter how negative it may seem, people doxing them, finding out who they are, getting them fired, all those things, which maybe all those things should still occur, but providing that food, if you will, that food for the attention is not necessarily going to be the best way to combat this. So it kind of harkens back to like school shooters or in the earlier days of school shooting and some like copycat killers and things like that. I don't know which words we can say and can't say in this podcast, but anyway, where they were beginning to do these criminal behaviors just to get attention from society. So even the school shootings where it was discovered that for a period of time the school shooters were doing it just to get attention. So we started, especially like starting around the Newtown shooting, right? We started like de-emphasizing the criminals and emphasizing the victims. So that's one thing that we would like to see our media, this is Mind Over Media, so we'd like to see our media do more of, emphasize the victim. So instead of talking on and on and on about this GoFundMe or whatever that this crazy lady had, I'm sorry, not crazy lady, this performative lady had created and raised money for herself and her family, we would like to see the media instead respond in kind and create GoFundMes for the victims and create attention for solutions to the problems instead of putting the attention on the perpetrators.
Right. So there's another instance where there was a law enforcement officer who was a beast of an officer. I mean, they were at least 6 feet tall, big bulky guy, and he's at a car with 2 children inside of the car and a mother. The taillight is out, the tags are bad, the mother's car door is open because he asked her to open the car door. She's got her hands in this position, and she's like, this is not my car, I'm just borrowing my friend's car to pick up my kid. And
So what's the significance of her hands? Just to show that there's
that
nothing in
there's
her
nothing
hands.
in her hands.
Yeah.
The significance of her hands, she's got her hands like this, so there's nothing in her hands. There's no threat to the officer. And she says, "This is not my car. I'm here to pick up my child." And the officer, says he's starting to get nervous. And she goes, "I don't know why you're getting nervous. I would like you to stop, de-escalate, calm down. I'm not doing anything. My children are in my car." And as she's talking, he deploys his taser at her. As he's tasing her, so as she's being electrocuted by this apparatus, he then says, "I am in fear for my life. I am so scared," in that tone. In that tone, which lets you know it's performative. He knew he was being recorded. He was acting for the camera. A lot of people are like, "Oh, it was a racial act." I don't think so. I think he was like, "However, I get my 15 minutes of fame, I'm going to do something stupid." And then proceeded to, when he was called out on his poor behavior, say, "No, I really was scared for my life." This performance, continued the performance of being afraid of this individual who was sitting in a chair with their hands where he could see them and two children in the car. At no point did he think that his life was in danger. At no point should you think his life was in danger. And there's a consequence. There is a situation that he's making within society, people like him, performative actors, where people get confused. They're saying that, well, he shocked her. He must have been afraid. No, but he wasn't. He wasn't. And people cannot see through this weird performative behavior. And this is why we're calling this stuff out. Electrocuting someone, she could have had a bad heart. She could have been sick.
And we have seen that.
Yeah, people have died from being tased. There was no need to do this except for him to get on the internet and have his 15 minutes of fame.
Yeah. So in any case, sorry, my brain had a little bit of a glitch there. But in any case, we feel it's important. Well, just a little bit of a lesson there. Again, putting the focus and emphasis on the victims in these cases. Many of you may not be aware, and I learned this after becoming entangled with this one over here, is that when a person of color gets pulled over, before the cop even, generally speaking, maybe you guys don't know this, but before the cop even gets to their car, they have already put their license in their wallet, generally speaking, in a reachable, visible position so that they don't get shot. So before the cop even gets to their car, they've already ran through, most people of color have already ran through all the possible scenarios that could get them shot and done whatever they can to eliminate the possibility of getting shot. So if you can imagine the people who end up getting shot have already gone through all the possibilities of getting shot in general and tried to do their best to eliminate the possibility of getting shot or tasered or whatever the case is. And so it really is a bitch whenever it actually does occur, because they've done literally everything they can do. So the reason why this woman's hands were up in the air isn't because she was being defensive or isn't because she was like trying to hurt him. It's because she's literally trained and practiced showing them that she has nothing in her hands and they are not in danger.
Right. She was eliminating the threat before the threat can even be, she could be accused of being a threat. She eliminates the threat by saying, "Here's my hands. They're where you can see them. I have children in the car." So she's also de-escalating by saying, "There's two children in the car. I'm waiting to pick up one. You need to calm down." And so she's already trying to eliminate the threat, and he deploys his taser anyway.
Yeah. So I think it's important for the viewers to understand that when people of color, and anyone, but when people of color get pulled over and end up getting tased, that most of the time it's going above and beyond, especially in these circumstances where their hands are clearly in the air. There is no sign at all that this person is a threat. That's basically it. So I want you guys to grok this concept that people are not, maybe I shouldn't use grok anymore, that people are not intending to be a trigger, to trigger these, is Dexter an okay term to use?
We'd have to define what Dexter
Okay.
are. Dexter was a TV show in which there was a serial killer who had disguised himself as a a police officer with the intent of causing harm to people. And he thought nobody would care because he was a police officer. He's getting the bad guy, so he could do his dirty deeds while being a cop. So Dexter is a person that has the intent to do harm to people with the disguise of being a person that is only there to do good.
Yeah. So anyway, we can move on to a different topic now. We wanted to touch
one more performative before we.
One more example.
Yeah, one more example, because this just happened a couple days ago. An older white gentleman was sitting on a bench at a beach, and these young women are walking, and they said, "What did you say to us?" And he says, "I said you're not supposed to be in this country. You're not supposed to be here. Show me your papers. Show me your papers." That was a phrase that Nazis used in 1930, Nazi Germany. I'm going to raise the specter. I know MAGAs are going to hate me, but...
and when she says MAGA, she says means people who follow and support Donald Trump's Make America Great Again.
Yeah, MAGAs are going to hate me for this, but they caused this. They did. People wanting to go back to 1930s and say things like, "Show me your papers." You have no authority to have any citizen of the United States show you anything of theirs. You're just a person. You're just a person. You're not law enforcement. You're not the FBI. You're nothing. You're not a lawyer. You're nothing.
Even if they were law enforcement, most states don't require that you present your ID.
Yeah, there are some circumstances where an officer can ask you for that, so we're not saying defy officers. There are some instances where law enforcement can have you show some form of documentation. But you, citizen Joe Blow, you citizen nobody, you can't walk up to people who have brown skin or who look, like they're not from America to you and ask them to show you their papers.
Some states may allow what they call citizen's arrest, but even under the case of citizen's arrest, it's not your job to ask for papers. So, so that is the type of performative stuff that we mean. So here's another little tidbit that we want to hand over to people. While documenting all this behavior is important, we also want you to walk away.
Yes.
We want you to get yourself out of harm's way, turn the camera on as you're walking away, but just get away from the people. If a person stops you and says, "Show me your papers," or "Why are you here?" or whatever, even if you have a right to be there, even if it's your neighborhood, just go into your house, or keep on walking in the way that you were walking. And you may record because documenting is important, but we also want to see more people just not giving these people attention, right? So take out your camera, record if you need to, and just continue on down the street or continue on into your house. I did see one recently, which was performative, but maybe a mixture of a man was driving to his house and parking at his house, and this mother and daughter, I guess mother and child at least, came and knocked on the door of his house and said, "This man's following me," for no reason. And then once the man's wife identified that he actually lived there, the people who were knocking on the door were like, "Sorry, I'm going to go away now." And then they left. Okay. So the behavior itself started to go down the performative route. But then once they realized that that person wasn't an actual threat, no matter what kind of prejudice was going through her mind, she removed herself as a nuisance in that moment. Right. So and that's what on the victim side of things, that's what we want to see more of. And this is not in any way saying anyone's causing their own victimhood, but we certainly think that you can avoid, you can at least reduce or lessen victimization by walking away and not deciding to stay there and challenge the person and try to change their mind or try to, demand that you have rights. Just have rights, right? So just go about your day. And then if that person continues to infringe on your rights, continue on. Now, we're not lawyers. We can't give you legal advice, but I would like to see more of that. I would like to see more media where people are like, you know what, I'm going to live my life whether or not this asshole is standing here.
Yeah, we want to give you safety advice. Real life, examples, that hit home. Last night I was taking my dog on a walk, and this bald-headed individual wearing a Nazi bomber jacket starts shouting to me, Europeans will rule America. Trump will bring Europeans to power. You Africans, you're going to be sent back to Africa. You Chinese people, they're going to be sent back to China. We're going to take our country back. And rather than challenge the guy or argue with the guy or like take my dog off the leash and throw my dog at the guy, I said, you know what, I better get home to my wife. I better let her know that this is happening, just in case he follows me, try to get there or at least get within earshot of her. So if he does pursue, she can hear, my dog was uneasy, but he wasn't doing anything yet to come out of the space he was in. And so we were safe and we got to safety. And that's all we're saying. Like, don't challenge these people. If they want to be stupid, they're going to be stupid. It's performative too. He did have a phone in his hand. So my thought process is if he can get some action, if he can get, hey, look, I got a confrontation, he's going to get that confrontation. They want to be broadcasted doing these things. So don't give them the opportunity.
Yeah. So in that scenario, she had to go run an errand. So I took the dog back out with her, walked her to her truck, kept her, the dog and I don't know how well I do, but with the dog, we kept her safe. And then and I can verify that the man was saying pretty obnoxious things and extremely loudly, well past quiet time. So do what you can to continue on with your life as you planned. And then if they continue to infringe, do what you need to do to keep yourself safe. So that's what we have to talk about in terms of performative. We always want to give kind of tips on how to stay safe and sane as much as we can. So now we're going to move on to the TV show You. Now I'm going to do a disclaimer here. I have not, nor will I ever watch the TV show You. As a psychotherapist, there might be a lot of psychotherapists out there who disagree with me and watch it for the fun of it because it is displaying and showing a lot of psychological concepts.
It does.
It might be engaging and academic for some people in my field to watch. However, the first time it started to come on in my feed, I noticed a bunch of people were glorifying the serial killer or psychopathic person on the show. And not just glorifying them. This was like years ago. Yeah. They were begging for that person to
unalive someone.
Grape them. I don't know. These are peers that were on my social media feeds, people that I know. And probably people who may one day watch this too. but there was a lot of glorification of this of Joe happening, and I decided back then I was never going to watch the show because I did not believe that creating media with the intent to have people salivate over a serial killer who is pathologically horrible, then that is dangerous. So having society flip the switch on pathological people with antisocial personality disorder or cluster B disorder, and make them something that's desirable, something that where people want them to engage with them, is a dangerous practice. So I have never watched the show, and the show had to fix what they did apparently.
Yes. So about mid-season. Mid-series. The makers of You began putting out articles on, hey, wait, no, you guys are forgetting who Joe is, and so they I don't want to give spoilers for you in the show, but they start to let you into Joe's head. So now there can be no mistaking what he's doing. So they show one scene, let you in his head about the scene, and then show you what's actually in the scene. And so you couldn't escape what he had done. You couldn't say, oh, maybe he didn't do it, or maybe, like, it's clearly he did whatever bad deed he's thinking about or saying he was going to do. And so the show changed how they presented Joe's behavior in order to try to stop the glorification of the character Joe Goldberg.
And so the show is kind of wrapped up. The series is wrapped up. And what's the actor's name?
Pete Begley.
Okay, so Pete Begley has even come out and been like, come out, but he's even stated, you guys need to back up. This person is a bad person. This is a bad guy. You should not be like fawning all over him. I don't know exactly the words, but we can show proof or evidence.
You can look it up. Pete Bagley. Some of the people on various groups began to openly attack the. Oh, I don't want to like give spoilers away, but began openly attacking some of the characters on the show regarding Joe, and he had to come out and say, "No, this is how this is supposed to happen. This guy is a bad guy. Like you're not supposed to be like, yeah, kill those, B words, kill those bitches.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to say, oh, good, they got him finally. They got the serial killer. They got the serial rapist. And so you're supposed to. You're supposed to say that, but these people were not saying that. They were saying, why didn't he, rape her until she died? How come he didn't kill so and so? Oh, he let this bitch get away. The very misogynistic, very psychopathic, comments that people are making.
It's very interesting because we have like a society that overconsumes true crime media, right? So, and I mean like true crime in the concept of true crime, like documentaries and stuff like that. So, not like I don't know, like Law and Order. What's the other one? NCIS. Not just those. Oh, my son's computer screen has gone wild. Anyway, so we have people who are, so we have a society who overconsumes this type of media. They feel more, more alive whenever, or they feel, I don't know, I'm just coming up with words right now, but they feel that they just need more of this media, which is one thing. We have people who are generally like non-pathological, fairly well-adjusted people who become super obsessed with serial killers, in real life serial killers. Yeah. So they end up consuming all matters of media related to serial killers, for instance. And then some of those people tip over into a fascination that is unhealthy. So, yeah. And we feel like I feel like, I can't speak for Mav, but I feel like the general feeling of that like ecstatic feeling when it comes to this pathological behavior has been now accessed on a nationwide level through like this TV series and potentially other TV series that are similar to it. So we just want to make that statement. So if you're planning on watching You, or if you've already watched You, we want you to really stop and consider the way you're engaging with that content and how you feel about that content, and to kind of work through that. If you are a Joe sympathizer, it's one thing to have a backstory of a villain. Yeah. Smallville had the backstory of Lex Luthor. Maybe in an alternative universe. Yeah. And what is it? Joker.
Yeah.
It had the backstory of Joker. Yeah. What was it? The Dark Knight. Yeah. That's the Joker's backstory, if I recall correctly. And even what was it? Maleficent. Maleficent has a backstory, yeah. And so as we get to know the backstory and find sympathy for some of these pathological people, it's important to fully understand and know that regardless of a person's backstory, they have still committed crimes and done pathological behaviors, which can never be undone. It can never be reshifted, and never can be changed, and never can be reshaped. And so there's no amount of sympathy that can change the effects or the results of that pathological behavior. So we just want you to check in with yourself and find out what's going on in your heart, what you feel, what you think. This is part of critical thinking, right? How you feel, what you think about these things, and talk to someone about it. To talk to your friends, your peers, talk to anyone.
Yeah, we're not knocking the show in any way, shape, or form. I was really proud of the creators of the show for coming out and speaking to, their fans, say, hey, you need to not like this individual. And they presented a host of different types of people with, I'm going to mangle the psychological terms, I apologize, but
with cluster B
cluster
type
B
disorders.
disorders, or antisocial personality disorders. They really cover the gamut of those and how it might look in normal society with people being, teachers, business owners, professors. I mean, I said teachers, professors, um, salespeople, family members. It was great how they implanted these characters in normal everyday situations to show people what it would look like. Again, our problem is not with the show and its content itself. It's with the people that have lost their minds and are saying, yeah, serial killer, rape that woman, more till you kill her. You didn't strangle her hard enough, or you didn't lock her in this box for long enough, or you didn't starve her long enough. The glorification of murder is not okay. Your mind has kind of moved out of the space of normalcy into a dark space if you're watching the show saying, yeah, kill that person and do it this way, and you should kill her, this way, and you should make sure you rape her 16 times here. There's something wrong with that. That's actually not okay.
Right. So what Mav means to say, since she's not a therapist, is that there's probably some internal struggles that some people have who are watching the show with those thought processes, and it's worth it to evaluate how you're feeling and what you're thinking, and to speak to someone else about it, and kind of like do a check-in with other people, see if your thoughts are aligned with other people's, and check in with a professional.
Yeah, that's what I meant to say.
That's what she meant to say. All right, we're going to move on to the next subject. Mav prides herself in the idea that she's not a therapist because while Mav is setting... Oh, what just happened here? Hold on. Well, that was fun and interesting. While Mav was setting up... my screensaver just came on. While Mav is setting up for the next one, I'm going to go fix my son's monitor because it is literally going crazy. We've been watching Alias, by the way. And it's doing the thing that, like those little magic little buttons and
they're
stuff.
scrambling our signal.
So I'm going to go and turn it off and just pretend like that's not happening and put on my tinfoil hat. So you set up the next topic. I'll be right back.
Okay, so the next topic we're going to be covering is the topic of Pride Month, because we have a few days until Pride. And there's been some rhetoric on the internet that has just caused me to want to speak about this, in a using your mind way. So as I've been on media, I've seen people like, oh my God, the rainbows are coming. Are the rainbows hurting you? Like, are they hurting you? That, like, days before, Pride Month begins, you're on your social media, you're talking about, oh my God, the rainbows are coming. Oh, thank goodness they got rid of DEI. Like, it's so unnecessary. It's so over the top ridiculous. It's akin to people saying, oh my God, Black History Month is coming. I don't care too much for Black History Month, but there are people that do. And it's not hurting you. Let them be happy. Let them celebrate. It's so silly. And then, oh my goodness, the backlash responses, well, if we had, White Pride Month, well, you don't. And there's reasons that you don't. Because there is systemic racism, and there's a whole historical precedent why we don't do that. The precedent was set, and so we don't do that. And so Pride Month is for gay individuals, the people of the LGBTQIA plus spectrum, to be able to say, you know what? We deserve to be alive. Not it's time to convert you, not it's time to make you gay, not it's time to show you gay people kissing, but we deserve to be alive. Because prior to Pride Months and allowing gay people to just be people and live their lives, people thought they should be dead. They thought they should kill them.
Harvey Milk Day just went by.
Yeah, they thought the only good gay person is a dead person. And so it's okay for people to celebrate Pride. But I digress. So, I'm on media and I'm seeing all these weird things And I'm going to call it weird. I'm not going to mince words.
Let's call them monochromatics.
Monochromatics, weirdness, stupidity,
Call them monos.
ignorance on media, talking about, oh my God, the gays are coming. We're not coming. We're
the
here.
rainbows are coming. Well, the monochromatics are saying the rainbows are coming.
Yeah, the rainbows are coming. The gays are going to be out there. The gays are already out there. We're walking down the street. We're going to work. We're taking our kids to school. We're already
doing podcasts.
We're already here. All you're going to see is, they're like, whoa, God, the logos are going to change. The logos are going to change for a month.
I don't even know how many logos are going to change now.
Yeah, because it's DEI. Oh, my God. Yeah. And so anyway, let's talk about Pride Month. And, I wish I have a cup. I have a cup I ordered for the month of June.
Yet. Don't tell them yet.
Okay, I'm going to surprise you.
In the month of June, she's going to have a cool cup.
I have a cup that I ordered just for the month of June, so I can show you guys how much I don't give a damn about all that whining about Pride.
The month of June, her social media becomes obnoxious.
Obnoxious.
Not like it's Pride Month, everyone, but like straight up messaging towards the monos, saying like, oh my God, you guys are crying again.
So you're crying again. Oh my God, there's a rainbow in Target. Oh my God, there's a rainbow. Are you crying again? Like you have the audacity to call people snowflakes, and you're crying over logos and rainbows.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, wait till June gets here. I'm going to take screenshots and show you how absurd it actually gets. And they flex. They think they flex. They think they're doing something by saying, oh my God, look at this rainbow. They had a whole rainbow banner. The White House won't be lit up rainbow. That's not a flex. That's stupid. Well, what kind of brave country, strong country, is scared of a rainbow? That's stupid. It's not a flex to say you're scared of a rainbow.
Or
that's
snowflakes.
Stupid. Or snowflakes.
How can you be scared of snowflakes?
How can you be scared of snowflakes? It gets really dumb around June, and you will see. So, yeah. Pride Month. I'm gonna start.
You haven't even
started off the talk. I'm just prepping you. I'm just prepping you.
Prep, okay.
Yeah, I was just prepping you for the topic.
Okay.
So Pride Month. Let's get into the topic. There's gonna be some changes to Pride Month, and some really weird changes. So about a year ago, I started noticing the change in Pride Month. Pride Month came along, and whereas we can go in and get clothes with rainbows or clothes for our kids or flags or whatever, rather than the displays being in the front, out in the open, you don't have to look for them. They're in the back in a corner with boxes in front of them. And I'm like, I ain't going behind those boxes to get a flag. What the hell? Let me move this box here and move this here and peeky-loo what's back here. And it was just Pride merch, right? It's nothing scary. And I'm like, what are they hiding this for? Who are they hiding it from? And people are walking by with their carts and not really saying anything. And you have things that should be hidden out in the open for kids to see. And you're like, okay, these are weird things that are out in the open that kids shouldn't see, but they're there. But you got this Pride stuff, rainbows hidden behind boxes as though the rainbows have committed a crime. And so I'm trying to figure out what did the rainbows do to everybody. And so I don't know what's going on. I go home, I go on media, or remember Remind Over Media, I go on my social media, and what is happening with the Pride Month thing. And there are people holding clothes from Target and this one says for the child to tuck their genitals in and look at this. And I'm like, well, don't buy it for your child. I don't understand. It doesn't say Target is forcing you to buy this for your child. It's simply a clothing that some child might be interested in, or some, affirming parent may be interested in for their child, right? But it didn't say you have to buy it. You have to buy this damn thing. And they had people talking about, oh, there's this flag. Look at it. It's got a rainbow on it. And I'm thinking, you could say that rainbow means anything. It's a rainbow flag. It's not telling you to tell your child it's time for you to be gay now. It's not doing any of those things. The flag can't talk. The flag can't hurt you. The flag can't do anything to you. And yet these people are acting like there's some power in the rainbow. As
we discovered, though, through the election process, the I don't know, conservative, I don't know, MAGA, I don't know, the other side, if you will, we're sending out messaging that children would literally go to school. You should swallow. Okay. They would literally go to school.
Ignore her.
And come home with a sex change. I just didn't want you to bust out laughing with the water.
I forgot about that one. Yeah, that children were getting sex change operations at school. It was in our political discourse. Yeah. I kid you not. Look it up. We're not making this up. Yeah. They were actually saying on news cycles that there were people out in America that thought that kids were going to school, one gender, getting a sex change at school, and coming home a different gender.
Yeah. And there's some there's some parody social media posts. Maybe we'll show it here if I can find one. Maybe not. I don't know. But anyway, so that was happening last year during this time of year. So also I was reading. My son plays Gorilla Tag, and Gorilla Tag often produces rainbow content during the June month, and it's permanent. The content generally, like once you buy it, you can wear it anytime, and it had a huge backlash from some parents who were saying that like we shouldn't be exposing kids to this, and a lot of people were like to rainbows, like to rainbows. But even more so importantly than that, like kids, say young kids, I don't know, 8, 9 years old, which is the age that this woman was talking about how we shouldn't be exposing rainbows to these kids. Now, granted, you're not supposed to be using Gorilla Tag unless you're 13 and above, but this woman's complaining about even younger than that. So a lot of people are coming in like, you're complaining about exposing your child to rainbows, but my point is that our kids have been exposed to rainbows and they're fine.
Yeah.
In fact, studies show that the kids are all right. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So we feel it's important to understand that children know and understand and accept and love the parts of themselves, the parts of their parents, the parts of their caretakers, regardless of what rainbow or monochromatic flag they're flying under. And so the whole point of diversity, DEI, the whole point of rainbows even, hold on, it's too late for me. The whole point of these rainbows is to celebrate diversity. Any kind of diversity. There's the LGBT diversity, there's the different abilities diversity, is to celebrate the diversity. And if we are making the rainbow into a, turning the rainbow into a negative thing with a negative connotation. I remember as I was reading this woman kept saying, the rainbow belonged to God. It was God's promise. And my mother used to say that too. It's God's promise. Ironically, my mother, when she found out I was gay after the first 2 weeks of adjustment, she wore rainbows all over the fucking place because my mother was so proud to be my mother, and she was so proud to support me in any way she can. I remember there's someone at Walmart where she used to work in Texas that had like knitted her a rainbow hat, and that woman wore that rainbow hat and posed in it. I mean, she was like, this is so cute, and she loved it. And so if my mother, who was, who voted for Trump, it was a person that could sit there and put on a rainbow hat in support of her daughter, I don't think it's hurting anybody.
Yeah, and people talk about, the rainbow is salacious, gay lifestyles are salacious. Kids shouldn't be exposed to them. Kids today can go online. They Google the president because they're curious about who is the president. And in Google, there are links to videos that show him talking about how he just grabs women. He just can't help himself. Sometimes he pops a Tic Tac. And then he goes to a woman and he grabs them by the... And you're okay with the kid
highest office.
The highest office, you're okay with the kid being exposed to that. There's also court dockets that kids have access to that talks about him being a whole rapist, a whole one. Followed the person to the elevator, went into the elevator, did all the things that you are disgusted to read about, you're okay with that. That's okay. But them damn rainbows, those, oh my God, those gay people. Now, I'm not saying that there aren't things that children shouldn't be exposed to. There's an area in, I want to say it's San Francisco. I've never been, but I have heard, and I've seen some videos online where people go flopping around naked. They flop in front of children. They flip and flap everywhere in front of a child. And if you're raising your child to be a nudist, you're right as an American to raise your child to be a nudist. But if you don't want your child to be exposed to that, I wouldn't take my kid around there. I wouldn't intentionally take a stroll into that area of San Francisco. I got lost and I just ended up where everybody knows that they're flipping and flapping and flopping completely naked. Like
I just want to add, Shane and I are not alike. I've been to the Hague and it is perfectly fine.
I am uncomfortable with that. People flipping and flapping and flopping.
We have different body image views.
I'm not comfortable with that. But
like I wouldn't do it. I can't take my clothes off and walk in public.
Yeah, go ahead.
But I'm perfectly fine, not wearing clothes when I'm not in public. So, but nonetheless, those areas for me are fine for me. Like nudist colonies in France where people are nude, like destigmatizing that concept overall is, I think, a good thing for society because it continues on the idea that like I guess like the I don't know these terms, patriarchal concept that your body belongs to other people, so other people can make rules for your body.
Yeah, there's just two, like I said, there's just 2 points of contention I have with areas like the one in San Francisco where people are, flopping around naked. The first one is, I don't believe you that you just stumbled across that area. I used to live out that way. I didn't stumble across. I didn't and blindly end up in places like
Who's
that.
Who's telling you they stumbled across it?
It's on media, right? The people are like, I was just walking my child down the street and there it was out in the open. And it was flipping and flopping at me. Well, I am sure there are rainbows and everything at the entrance of that.
To be fair, though, sure. If you're talking about the flip-floppers, though, the cowboys.
We're talking about during Pride Month.
Okay, but if you're talking about those specific areas, no, every single person that lives in San Francisco knows that those particular areas are going to have naked cowboys and the such with they rings and everything,
Right. They know.
Every single human being. So there's no oh my God. But it does come out of nowhere. I will tell you that. It does come out of nowhere. So you'll be having lunch and there's nobody naked around, and then walk to the corner to cross the street and there is somebody naked around. So that does happen.
But the point being, that happens there. So if you know that happens there and it's during Pride Month, don't accidentally be performative and walk there with your phone ready to record. Look at what my child's being exposed to. Just stop. And the other point of contention I have, the second point.
Well, as we said, just continue on your life and walk away.
Yeah, and to take your child away, cover their eyes, leave.
Whatever you need to do.
And the second point of contention that I have a problem with is,
but those people are not really trying to grape you or hurt you or harm you. They're just being prideful.
The second point of contention I have a problem with is the implication that if your child is with you and they stumble into these areas and they see a penis, a vagina, breast, beard, mustache, that they're going to go, oh, I'm gay. I saw, oh my God, I saw it, I'm gay now. Yeah. Well, oh, behave. The thought that you have that your child seeing a penis, vagina, or breast, or beard, mustache, or asses is going to make them suddenly become a gay person. There's something wrong with your logic there. I grew up seeing straight people kissing all over each other and being very flaunty and flaunting it in your face and not keeping it to themselves and oh my God, can you guys get a room? I grew up with that and still became a person that was involved with women. So Yeah, your
The
child.
logic would have to go both ways.
Right. The logic doesn't make sense. Your child's not going to be gay. And also, if I'm seeing the straight people, flaunting it, by your logic, I should be straight. And it doesn't work that way. So please stop with that narrative. On Pride Month, it's annoying. I'm going to say it, it's stupid. It makes you look stupid. The videos are absurd. You posting the videos are absurd. You cheering the lack of DEI and representation is absurd. DEI covers disabled people, it covers women, covers minorities, it covers the gamut of human beings that need representation. And now that we've gotten rid of, we've gotten rid of DEI, people are cheering and they're happy because they think it means something it doesn't. You're not getting rid of gay people. They're not going anywhere. You're not getting rid of minorities. We're definitely not going anywhere. We're born here. We're Americans. We're not going anywhere. You're not getting rid of disabled people. They're not going anywhere. We're not going anywhere. So you haven't done anything except shoot yourself in the foot by getting rid of DEI. You don't even understand the concept. The fact that you want to get rid of it implies that you don't understand it. You don't know what it is. And that's really sad.
Yeah. Well, and another topic, another like kind of tangential topic that I want to touch on, again, like being the psychologist, the psychotherapist in the room, we're both psychologists, is what if your child is gay? So, and this is to any of us, right? So one of the best ways to behave if your child is gay, or comes out to you and says, I saw a rainbow and it made me realize I was gay. Maybe that just coincidentally occurs. Just understanding and accepting that. Like, oh, okay. And do you have to, celebrate it? No. Is it against your religion? Maybe. That's none of my business. But what any child needs in that moment is support and acceptance, and unconditional love. And so if a rainbow is going to get in between the love you have for your child, you need to go talk to somebody.
Yes.
You need to talk to sorry, that was a serious moment too, but then our screen, we got to keep knocking. You need to go talk to someone. So I'm going to repeat that again. So if a rainbow is getting in between the love you have for your child and you and your child, you need to talk to someone. Talk to a friend. Talk to someone with a different thought process as you. Talk to a therapist. Talk to a doctor. Talk to anyone, and try to get some support so that you can be the most loving and safest thing for your child. Period. No matter what. Because if your child has come out as gay, maybe they saw a rainbow and they came out as gay, whatever the coincidence might be, it is far worse for your child to feel safe in somebody else's presence than it would be the unconditionally loving parent's presence, and for the most part. And what I mean is, oftentimes children, and you can look this up, don't have to take my word for it, please look it up, this is critical thinking, right? So children who are rejected by their parents because of their homosexuality often find ways into being trafficked, into being harmed, and even into death. Yep. Because of the rejection of their parents. So it is far better that you learn to accept your child and show them unconditional love to prevent them from being picked up by a bad person who will show them the most unconditional love that they've ever heard, felt, and seen, until they stop showing them unconditional love and they harm them. So be the most loving person in your child's life, no matter what you believe about rainbows, no matter what you feel. Be that person that your child feels safe to come to, no matter what. And that's what I implore you, to look up, learn, understand. And if you need help with that, again, talk to a friend, talk to someone who has a different political opinion than yours, talk to a therapist, your doctor, anyone. I implore you to reach out to somebody beyond your echo chamber. And trust me, I have my own echo chamber too. do it to reach out beyond that echo chamber so that you can learn something new, if that means keeping your rainbow child alive.
And the last point for this topic, we know DEI, the removal of DEI policies from various stores and organizations has made it very difficult for people to get ready for Pride, to celebrate Pride. I got a tip. I have to look it up. I can't verify it just yet, but the store Michaels has not rolled back their DEI policies, and they are going to double and triple and quadruple down on putting up Pride stuff and putting it out in the open where people have to deal with it when they walk into their store. So I'm going to be going into Michael's and get a whole bunch of rainbow stuff to be obnoxious. And I bought something to be even more obnoxious for the month. I'm going to share it with you guys next podcast. To be even more obnoxious, I'm going to have rainbows everywhere to be obnoxious. My whole social media is going to be obnoxious with rainbows, Pride things, gay families. It's going to be terrible. I am going to do it, because if a snowflake can harm you, if a rainbow can harm you, you shouldn't be on social media. You just shouldn't. You just close your eyes, go live under a rock somewhere. The rainbow's not hurting you. And if it is hurting you, please tell people where that rainbow is hurting you at. Where is it hurting you? You know, where is that rainbow hurting you? So we can help you take care of that. You know, if the rainbow is painful, show us where it's painful. Say it hurts right here. You know, wherever it's hurting, so we can help you. If the snowflake, by giving you facts and history and links to academic sources, credible academic sources, right? If the snowflake is hurting you, rather than like go and do rants about libtards and liberals and snowflakes and, you know, calling them jackboot thugs while calling them fragile at the same time. If they're hurting you, let us know so we can talk about it. We'll talk about it. We're not afraid to talk about it. If there's a liberal person out there that's like taking their snowflake and smashing you on the head with it, we'll talk about it. Okay? You don't have to do crazy rants.
And another tangential subject on that matter is the amount of politicians that are extremely anti-rainbow, anti-snowflake, and then get arrested for engaging in child pornography with same-sex children.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, that's not the way we say it anymore. We don't say child pornography anymore.
Yeah. Child
abuse through photographic images.
Yeah.
And with same-sex children.
Yeah.
So there's this phrase, what is it, thou
protest too much.
Too much. Not that we're saying that everyone who hates the rainbows is a rainbow, but we're just saying really explore that. And you might find yourself unlocking freedom through your own rainbow. So just embrace the rainbow. You'll either become stronger in your monochromaticism, or you'll see that you actually have a hidden rainbow in there, and then get some help for that too, you know.
Yeah,
I'm a very big proponent on getting help, support, talking to friends, going outside of your echo chamber and talking to a therapist if you haven't figured that out.
Yeah, it's like in plain English, non-therapist speak. What she's saying is, if you get exposed to a rainbow, it might make you less stupid. Like, you might stop being stupid. You are being stupid when you want to hurt people for no reason. That is stupid. Causing harm is stupid.
And for the people that are watching us, our 3 friends who support rainbows, thank you so much for your support. And we hope that you've learned something from this. And we hope to see your rainbows fly. But no, seriously, again, rainbows are not going to turn you gay. But if you happen to be open-minded...
Gorgeous women, on the other hand, they might
consider
make you marry them.
How you feel about the rainbow and why you feel that way about the rainbow.
Their eyes.
And we'll see how that goes for you, okay? Anyway, I think with that rainbow rant, there's 2 times a year we get to talk about rainbows. One is this time, and the other is St. Patrick's Day, which is a small point of contention in our family, since she likes Irish people and I like alive Wiccans and witches. So, you know, we are just
as we call it, all Snakes Day. You know, we honor the Irish we honor the pagan people. So,
Yeah, she just really likes
uh,
Irish people.
Irish people.
And we're long past that right now. But, anyway, well, thank you for your time and your support. And I think we get an average of 5 views right now. So, yeah. So
Until we become popular.
one day. Maybe,
One day.
with all of our ranting about rainbows, jackboot thugs,
We're gonna
jackboot thug snowflakes.
We're talking about the stuff that's gonna bring the negative and the positive. We're here for it.
Yeah, we're like, we ain't got nothing else to do. Give us the views. Just kidding. All right. Well, anyway, with that, we're going to sign out of Mind Over Media. If you have anything you'd like to hear us talk about or rant about or anything in the future, go ahead and drop us a comment. And we're happy to figure that out and integrate it or whatever. Make fun of it or whatever we need to do.
Yeah, and stay tuned next month for, like I said,
Not next month. No. Whenever.
In a couple days.
Yeah, we're trying to do weekly, but we're not that great and consistent, and we're also new at this. So.
Yeah, so stay tuned in a couple days. I am literally going to be doing a whole Pride thing. Please post your stupid things because I will talk about them. I will talk about them.
You mean posts that you hate?
Yeah, that you hate rainbows. That you're crying about it. I won't show your faces. I won't. What's that called? I won't dox you. I won't show your face or your. I will make fun of you. I'm going to make fun of you because rainbows are silly to be so worked up about. It's a rainbow, but
maybe since it is Pride Month, Mav and I will talk more about ourselves and how we met and a little bit of the Pridey stuff going on in our household, with permission of other people involved. So.
Are we going to talk about the Pridey stuff?
The Pridey stuff
that's going on with the permission of the other
permissions. People? Yep, we'll see.
Okay.
All right. So with that, we will say goodnight and see you later. All right.